on the right, Brian Tyler Cohen on the left. Let's talk about immigration now. We have seen a massive drop-off in illegal border crossings after President Trump has really cracked down in immigration. Biggest changes probably of anything he's done from the Biden administration. There are also a series of lawsuits, though, claiming that the administration is rushing to deport people who legally have a right to be here. The administration admitting, at least in one instance, they did make a mistake. Tomi, this is your issue. What do you make of President Trump's approach to immigration? And what do you say to critics who feel like he's rushing it and some people are getting caught up in the middle who shouldn't?
Before Robot starts off, I felt like, I'm going to do two clips of the same thing because, number one, Tomi does need to get destroyed. But this is a good debate. There's a lot going on with it. And I just didn't want to stay stuck only on one topic. Brian Tyler Cohen is going to annihilate Tomi Lahren. Tomi Lahren is going to hit her talking points. And Brian Tyler Cohen is going to destroy them. Now, I'm going to give it to the video, but please, guys, stick with me. By the way, please don't forget the like and subscribe button. I need you to at least make it to 3 minutes of this video because, you got to beg. I want to show you something, and I'm going to show it to you within the next 2 minutes because I know I only have y'all for, even if it's an 8-minute video, I know how this goes. Please stick with me. All right, let's go ahead and go with it.
Well, listen, if you're an illegal alien, you have no legal right to be in this country, so you're not getting caught up in anything. I would just say that. I can't wait to talk about the so-called administrative error, and I can't wait to listen to Brian Tyler Cohen defend criminal illegal aliens. That's a wonderful hill for Democrats to die on. I encourage you to continue doing that. But I'll tell you this. President Biden said it couldn't be done. He said you cannot secure the border without the bipartisan border bill. Well, I guess that was a lie, just like everything else they fed to us during those 4 years where we essentially had a vegetable in office. It can be done.
I want you to pay. I got her in a really bad look right there. Bipartisan border bill. Hold on to that thought.
President Trump has managed to do it in less than 3 months. When you had border crossings, thousands a day, and now you're down to about a handful of gotaways, if that, I think this is an incredible success. Not only are we deporting criminal illegal aliens, we're keeping people from coming into this country illegally so we don't have to deal with the problem of deporting criminal illegal aliens 5-10 years down the road. This is an incredible success. President Trump has been able to do it in rapid speed, and there's nobody getting caught up that has a legal right to be here. You come into this country illegally, you are up for deportation. That might make Democrats mad, but I think that most of us on the right and the country that voted for this are quite happy with what's going on.
Brian, what's wrong with that?
It's interesting that you say nobody's getting caught up because Abrego Garcia was caught up by getting sent to a foreign gulag in El Salvador when the Trump administration itself conceded that it was an administrative error. And so the Supreme Court, this 6-3 conservative Supreme Court, and a court that is so extreme, we've never seen a court this far right in our lifetimes, ruled 9-0 unanimously that he had to be sent back. So to claim that no one is getting caught up in this system when that is exactly what's happening and it's being litigated at the highest levels of the judiciary is pretty bad faith here.
Tomi?
Oh, I can't wait to respond to that. So this person that was caught up, the so-called Maryland father that y'all like to talk about, it's not that he was caught up because he was a legal citizen or because he wasn't gang affiliated. It was an administrative error talking about the flight itself, okay? So it's not as if, and it actually really bothers me when those on the left say that there are just average Americans being swept up because they have a funny looking tattoo. That's not the reality. In fact, that is a lie. And it's really unfortunate that that's the narrative the left has to go with here. I understand that there is due process, but I think you understand, Brian Tyler Cohen, that there is a different set of rules for due process for people who have no legal right to be in this country, and especially when you're...
Okay, all right, Tomi. Yes, she is right about that point, and I want to come back to Brian and what he's going to say. It's a strong semantic, but she is right about that point, and I want to be clear too, because Brian just said something, and oh, geez, I'm really upset because now I can't remember because he was kind of loose about something. I wanted to go back and fix it, but whatever, that doesn't matter. Real quick, we talk about the Trump has very much secured and sealed the southern border. I will not take long on this, guys. Please give me 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. he has sealed the southern border. Okay, he has, but he's not the first person who started doing it. Biden actually started it before he left, and when I noticed that like the southern border was starting to not be an issue, like maybe 6 months before he was leaving, I was like, oh, this is just for elections. But I was like, nobody's talking about it, right? So anyway, now. What's happened, though, is that there's an executive order that's been placed because apparently, you know, they always want to say, as usual, there is an emergency. Now, we do know that, you know, there's always something going on with the border. We do know, okay? What I don't like is with these executive orders, he sent the military literally to public land. The federal government has seized public land, okay? Even if it's a little bit of it. And in an executive order, they've seized it. Literally says, through executive order 167 of January 20th, 2025, and then this is clarifying the military role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. I assign the armed forces, United States, of the military missions, repelling the invasion and sealing. This sealing word gives me a problem. The United States southern border from unlawful entry. From unlawful entry to maintain the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and security of the United States. This memorandum provides additional guidance. All right. So when you have it here, they tell you the executive orders to ensure. I'm not reading the whole thing. You don't got to worry about it. I know I probably got like 15 more seconds left, but to ensure the safety and security of the military and other federal personnel areas, military operations within federal lands along the southern border. Okay, hold on. So declaring a national emergency at the southern border is hereby invoked, and the Secretary of the Interior may make withdrawals, reservations, and restrictions of public lands. Right there, okay, to provide for utilization. For public lands to provide for utilization of public lands by the Department of Defense to address the emergency at the southern border. And people will say like, oh well, you know, this is, I mean, we have to secure the borders, and I'm with. Like, it doesn't have to be this way, though. You know that, right, guys? What you can do is, like, you can fund more ICE at the border. This is the military you just sent to the southern border to seal the southern border, to take public lands. And I don't know how much public lands, right? I'm not going to say he. I don't know. Man, this is like a big conglomerate that works with presidents now, so I don't know. And so when you look at what the fuck is this thing? So when you look at the executive order itself, hold on, there was a word here. I don't do broad terms in situations like this, okay? I don't. You need to tell me what you have in mind. And okay, here we go. No, again, you need to tell me what you have in mind. All right, stick with me. Because in theory, looks like it's a good thing. No later than 10 days from the effective of this date, this order to delivered to the president, a revision of the unified, all right, so the command, the mission to seal the borders. And I know you guys are probably like, why does she keep harping on that word seal? Look, I don't even have time to break down the type of, I am a fervent, dissenting person of government. I am. So I question everything. When you say seal the borders, what do you mean in and out? Okay. You know, real IDs coming back under Trump, it's okay, right? Whatever, right? Okay. So the mission to seal the borders and maintain sovereignty, territorial integrity, okay, sounds great, and the security of the United States by repelling, guys, that was English is my second language, of invasion, okay, including unlawful mass migration, well, yeah, I don't like that, narcotics trafficking, yep, not with it, human smuggling and trafficking, well, now they're gonna, you know, strike this episode, and other criminal activities. Well, what's criminal? Like, what is other? What other? Some criminals starting to become very subjective. We are having executive orders written where, you know, certain thought processes, where it's almost at the point, especially for college students, if they criticize a foreign nation, they're going to get deported, they're going to get in trouble. How long until, okay, you guys can go ahead and marinate on that. If somebody thinks I'm crazy, let me know. Drop a comment below. I'm sorry, man. I don't care who the president is. Like, yeah, we like Trump. You know, like, hey, that's what's up. You can like Trump. I look at the words of these executive orders and I start to wonder, like, what are we putting together here? What are we doing? What are we doing? We're calling it American sovereignty, right? Because while the borders they are sealed. They are. There's no deportations really happening. There's not no mass deportations happening. So what's going on, really? What is this? What is behind? It's more. There's always more than what meets the eye. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm convincing you guys. I know it's been more than the seconds. Let's just see a little bit more of this debate.
Own county has said that you are gang affiliated. That wasn't President Trump that said it. That was the Prince George County that said that this was a gang affiliated person. So if you're going to talk about people getting swept up, at least have your facts correct. This irritates me to no end.
Brian, but to the bigger point of all of this, despite some of these cases, is there value in what the president is doing? I mean, we have seen these border crossings go way, way down.
I'll certainly concede that Joe Biden could have done more and should have done more to take control of what was happening at the border. And in fact, his unwillingness to do that is largely what created the political environment for Trump to be able to exploit a lot of the pain that Americans were feeling as it relates to immigration. But that's still no excuse for Donald Trump to engage in this lawless deportation effort for people who haven't had due process to the point where the courts had to step in. I know that you're trying to make some weird distinction between due process rights for people who are Americans or legal residents, as was the case with Abrego Garcia. But the Constitution says that if you are here, you are entitled to due process. And that is not what these people are getting. That is what.
And what people need to understand is that you only need one precedent of something happening to set the tone for it happening to others. And don't think, because you were born here, that they can't get rid of you too. All right.